Like father, like son. LeBron James, Ron Harper, Peja Stojaković, and Carlos Boozer. Those are names you already know, but it's time to get to know the next generation you could be seeing on the court soon. The kids are growing up, and we are on the precipice of their time to build on the family legacy. When will we see these kids take center stage, and are they NBA bound? Don't worry, we got you covered. Hello, streaming people. I'm Grace Remington, joined by 24/7 Sports Director of College Basketball Recruiting, Adam Finkelstein, to evaluate the next generation in basketball with last names that should be quite familiar if you're any type of hoops fan. Adam, let's get right into this. Bronny James has become a household name because of his dad. Maybe you've heard him. He's a little bit famous. LeBron James, but for all intents and purposes, he's slowly but surely found his own path and is a four-star in the class of 2023. What should people know about Bronny, and what do you see for his college future?
Well, first and foremost, Bronny is short for LeBron James Jr. And obviously that is some huge pressure to put on any high school kid. But if that weren't enough, consider this. LeBron James has said his final goal in the NBA isn't to necessarily become the NBA's all-time leading scorer, but it's to play with his son. So expectations are sky high for Bronny James, and all eyes have been on him. He's got his own NIL deal. He's got a huge social media following. From a basketball perspective, what we've seen is him evolve from a bit of a role player early on in his career to more of a natural alpha, especially this summer. He's about 6'3", not as big as his dad, obviously, a very good athlete, but again, not quite as dynamic as his dad. He's a good shooter. He is a heady player, good defender. In short, he's a really well-rounded basketball player who can impact winning, but isn't necessarily quite as dynamic as you might expect from LeBron James Jr.
So there actually is another James on the court, Bryce James, entering his sophomore year. And there's some rumors that NBA evaluators see more upside in Bryce than Bronny. What do you think?
Well, we're a long ways away from that. I think Bryce doesn't have nearly as much kind of reps in the highest levels of grassroots basketball yet. But I will say this. I do think he has sneaky potential. He is a very good shooter of the basketball. He's just beginning to grow into his body. He's got more size, so he is certainly a prospect to watch. And obviously, he's got good bloodlines.
All right, let's go from the Kings kid to another Kings kid. Peja Stojaković played 18 seasons in the NBA, 8 of those seasons with the Kings. His son, Andrej Stojaković, a pretty close resemblance to the three-time All-Star. He's the number 4 small forward in the class of 2023. So Adam, what's your evaluation of Andre, and which schools is he considering?
Well, I am super, super high on him. He's down to 4 schools. He just broke that news with Travis Branham here of 24/7 Sports. And what you've got is a 6'6", highly skilled wing who shoots the ball, as you would expect, very well, being his father's son, but actually has some big guard type skills to him too. What I'm very intrigued about is the potential that he could still be growing. He hasn't filled out his frame at all. He's got big legs, big feet, and an upper body that is still relatively lean. So if he puts on a few more inches, all of a sudden you're talking about a prospect that could be in the very early stages of his development. His recruiting right now at UCLA is widely perceived to be the favorite, but schools like Stanford, Texas, also in the mix as well. So certainly one to watch here with a decision coming up in the coming weeks potentially.
Okay, so those are some prospects from the class of 23. Let's move on to 2024. Dylan Harper, the son of 5-time NBA champion Ron Harper, is number 5 overall of that class. What's your evaluation of the 6'4" combo guard?
Well, if you ever saw Ron Harper play, did you ever see Ron Harper play?
Of course.
Okay, so Ron Harper, next to Michael Jordan, he was the big guard who couldn't get sped up, dictated his own pace, was a scorer early on in his career, and then when he played next to MJ, he was more of the setup guy. And Dylan Harper is very similar. He has extreme versatility for his size. He completely dictates his own pace, just like his dad, and he can score and make plays at a variety of different levels. He's got a bigger, kind of stockier body type, but he had an absolutely breakout summer playing with the New York Rens and really established himself as one of the very best guards in the national junior class.
Okay, so all these names that we've covered, and we might possibly still have the best of the bunch left to discuss here. A pair of twins in the class of 2025, the number 1 overall player in Cameron Boozer and the number 24 overall player Cayden Boozer, the sons of two-time NBA All-Star Carlos Boozer. What do we need to know about these two?
Well, they're really early on in the process. They're just beginning their sophomore year in high school. Now, Cam Boozer is the early #1 in the 24/7 rankings, which means he's got incredible markers for long-term potential. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic. He's got some skill for a big guy his size in terms of the inside-out versatility we used to see from his dad. But again, it's so early on. He's only played 1 year of high school basketball. He's still got 3/4 of his high school career in front of him, but he's already getting recruitment from some of the biggest programs in college basketball, as you might expect, Duke being one of them.
All right, well, let's wrap this all up. We're seeing more and more kids of NBA stars find success on the hardwood, but is there anyone else you think worth mentioning here?
Well, along this theme, the prospect you have to keep an eye on is DJ Wagner. DJ Wagner did not have the big NBA career that some of the players we previously mentioned, but he was a star in his own right coming up the ranks, especially when he was going through the recruiting process. And his son, DJ Wagner, Wagner Jr., is right now the best available prospect in the national class of 2023. He's considered a Kentucky lean, where he would play for John Calipari at Kentucky, just like his dad did at Memphis, but his grandfather just got hired at Louisville, so there is a bit of a recruiting rivalry happening in the state of Kentucky.
All right, well, there's a reason we pay this guy the big bucks. Adam Finkelstein, follow him on social media at Adam Finkelstein. And while you're at it, subscribe to the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. We're going to have a lot more basketball content coming your way as we get closer to hitting the court.